And welcome back, everyone, to the Zanpakuto Creation Series. Today's Zanpakuto Creation Series suggestion comes to us from, I believe it's Renee Monroe. Is that the name of the individual who gave me Spider-Man? I believe it's Renee Romero. Sorry, Renee Romero. Well, that's the question. What is the Zanpakuto of Peter Parker's Spider-Man? Spider-Man came out as I always say it's kind of a unique thing, but it is. A lot of these guys are unique situations. Spider-Man is actually a very unique scenario in that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. You could make an argument for a while that Peter Parker could have had a certain type of Zanpakuto until he became Spider-Man. And then the type of Zanpakuto he would have had upon becoming Spider-Man would have changed. The reason for that is, and I believe that's the case, the reason for that is Spider-Man, as we learn in the comics, isn't just Spider-Man. He isn't just a random occurrence. We know there's a huge multiverse, the web of, this multiversal web of fate, whatever you call it. But he was the one designated to become the spider totem of his respective world, or at least the main one. And so, because fate is kind of thrusted that upon him, that I think plays a factor in the type of Zanpakuto he would have. So I first off think it's a Keto type. First of all, Peter is very much an intelligent. He's a genius, really, but he's very much the type of individual who would have an actual Keto type with him. It would be a standard katana. That I think would be pretty obvious. Its release would be Bind. Its name would be Spider's Thread or Kumo no Ito. Its Bankai would be Spider Totem's Web or Kumo Totemu Ibu. Again, keep in mind I'm using Google Translate for this. And the spirit of the Zanpakuto would probably look something like Uncle Ben, but with some spider-like characteristics. Not like a full-on spider face, but he could, in fact, be like a Drider from Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like the top half of the body is still human, whereas the bottom half is a spider. Or it could be, he could look similar to like Peter's man spider scenario. A man spider version of him before he became man spider. Something where it's like a multi-armed Uncle Ben and Spider. Spider form. Something like that. What the Zanpakuto ultimately turns into, though, is I imagine it turns into a very large gauntlet web shooter type weapon of some kind. It would probably wrap around Peter's entire arm. It'd probably be very, not super like thick and bulbous, but would look like a giant web shooter that fires from his wrist. And what it would do is not necessarily fire webbing, although I'm sure it can still do that. It's firing out Ryatsu. It can fire out both webbing and Ryatsu, I guess would be the better way to put it. Where it is capable of shooting out strings of binding Ryatsu that bind, tie, and hold everything down. And so, it would be Peter's main method of attack, movement, whatever you want to call it. Granted, if we're talking about Peter Parker as a Shinigami, well, he's already got, like, Shimpo, could stand on the air. So really, this Zanpakuto is actually used more for binding people down, keeping them. It's not really an offensive type per se, is what I'm getting at. It's not a defensive type either, though. It's more of a supplementary type where it's capable of keeping, containing, trapping individuals, things along those lines. Now, its Bankai would be something that continues the theme, as most Zanpakuto do, but goes, I think, in a slightly different direction. One of the big things that would be noticeable on this gauntlet is that it is shaped like his spider symbol, I would imagine. It is shaped like a very large spider that is on top of his wrist. And to be fair, maybe you can make an argument for whatever offensive capabilities you have. that it kind of the legs extend past his hand to a certain degree, and it makes kind of a blade, so he can use it in combat if he needs it for that regard as well. But I think the Bankai would cause the spider to grow and separate from his arm, and he would, in a sense, have a giant metallic reishi spider, if you will. A giant creature that helps fight on his behalf, can that follows his commands, and is ultimately capable of doing everything that the original Shikai was doing, just spider webs, wanting to bind. And it probably even has a couple main techniques where if it creates a giant web, it charges Ryatsu from the environment for like a big super attack that it attacks and fires with. By the way, I have, in case I sound a little like I'm repeating myself, the repetition is weird, or I sound off, I did test positive again for COVID. At the moment, I actually feel pretty good. Like last night I felt achy, shivers, all that chills. I had a headache this morning, but I took some Advil. I took some more vitamin C. I had a cup of tea. I'm trying to stay hydrated. Honestly, while I feel a little tired and a little froggy in the throat, that is, I actually don't feel that bad. All things considered. Actually, I can still taste, I can still smell, but I did test positive, so I'm not going to be out of work for a couple days, which honestly gives me some time to get the end of the year videos out. I'll say what I need to say later on. Point being, the Bankai of the Zanpakuto creates the giant spider, can fire webs. It can also just, physically attack. It's still very durable because remember, spiders have exoskeletons. So you can make the argument that it's durable like a blade in the sense that it feels almost metallic when you strike the spider. Now, that being said, a strong enough individual could just cut clean through the spider. The reishi webs theoretically could be burned away. In fact, actually, I think fire would be a very big weakness to this Zanpakuto's ability. Because even if you are using, like, say, reishi enhanced webbing, or even if the webbing itself is just straight reishi or Ryatsu, in theory, because of what it kind of is, anything that absorbs energy or anything that could burn away a web would be problematic for this Zanpakuto, I imagine. Add on the fact that anyone who's strong enough to just slice a spider down in two, honestly, that doesn't even have to be like a Kenpachi Yamamoto thing. That could be just a Komamura, because honestly, Komamura would probably be the very good but very good counter to this. Seeing as he makes a giant who can just squash anything around him. So, that would ultimately be Peter Parker Spider-Man's Zanpakuto. Kumo no Itu, or Kumo no, and let me get the Kumo Totemu Uebu. Shikai is basically creating spider webbing of some kind, be it actual webbing that's reishi infused, or just reishi webbing in general. And then the Bankai summons a giant spider, which helps, attack, defend, create more webbing, bind the area. And maybe the webbing, I think, can absorb Ryatsu from the environment. I think that'd be a good way to kind of strengthen the Zanpakuto to a certain degree. Either way, though, this is my concept for a Zanpakuto. Let me know what you would do if you would do anything different. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you folks next time.